What is up, my fellow Chibits? Today, I'm here to bring all of you, once again, more Boku no Hero Academia videos. It's been a few weeks. A lot has happened. Crazy shit has went down. We got an epic color page, epic fights every single week, great tactics, great strategy, and wonderful character development and characterization for so many characters for these chapters I have not talked about. So, to quickly cover some certain things, let's talk about that Izuku fight. Yo, if Izuku isn't, I guess, permanently damaged in some way, I would be kind of shocked. Because we already had some setup before this, battle, or this arc began, that if Izuku was ever to strain himself once again and hurt his arm, it would not be able to be ever the same again. And because of this, it lets you know that with Izuku pushing himself like he did, it lets you know that he's probably going to never be the same again. Like, his arms are probably not going to work the same, and he's probably going to be permanently damaged. And that leads to more greatness in the future for Boku no Hero Academia, because this series has always stayed trying to stay away from like cliches of shonen, and adding these consequences to Izuku to where he hurts himself when he uses one for all, it adds more enjoyability to the series, and it allows me to kind of just accept that Izuku used such a strong ass ability because, he's taking damage from it. So I can't wait to see the aftermath after once this arc is done, just to see what is really going to happen with Izuku's body, just because of how much he had to do just to take down one guy. I mean, it was amazing in of itself. I mean, what he had to do to bring that dude down, he definitely was not a weak son of a bitch. He wasn't. He definitely was not weak. I mean, how many hits he took, it's still impressive. And so how Izuku had to do that, like how he had to push himself, that's crazy. But also how he used his legs, too, after his arms were already hurt. He's like, okay, that's why my legs are here. And he pushed himself and he was running real fast. That made me just jump up for joy. I was like, oh my god, Izuku is a fucking badass. Because he straight up, like, breaks and shatters both his arms. And then after that's done, he carries Kota, and he's like, okay, that's what my legs are here for. And he starts running and shit. Oh my god, dude, just Boku no Hero Academia, it never ceases to amaze me how good it is, and how great the writing of the series is. Even chapters that are not about Izuku and his main fight, there's still some great things going on, like the latest chapter. Let's put this into consideration. The latest chapter of Boku no Hero Academia, it did focus on Izuku a little bit, but not that much. It actually mainly focused on Tetsu and Kendo, and also Tokoyami and Shoji. Now, talking about the first half of the latest chapter, Kendo and Tetsu's teamwork, the combination, and also seeing how they work together to bring down this masked boy, this gas mask boy, it was just so pleasing to just read, because it did not feel like, oh, our characters, had an ass pull and they just beat the, the villain here. It didn't feel like that. The way it worked, the way the setup was done, it was done just right to where you can accept it. I mean, the overall kind of conclusion to the battle as well, with how each individual, like, Kendo and Tetsu used their abilities, their quirk, to be able to overcome this gas mask kid, it allows you to appreciate the battle so much more. Now, there is one thing I want to point out about the gas mask kid in that fight. Apparently, he had some form of issue with the school that is currently training heroes, because from what you see from the fight, is that the kid is around the same age as Class A or Class B, like the standard classes that teach, heroes. And the boy, when he was fighting, it seemed like he had some form of negativity, and it makes me believe that this boy most likely tried to get into the school, but then was rejected, or he couldn't make it in the exam, or maybe he never had the money to go to the school, even though he was talented, because his parents never could pay for him, and eventually it might have turned him to a life of crime. That's one of the ways to actually look at that fight. So, this poor boy, this gas mask boy, most likely got turned into what he is, thanks to circumstances of not being able to go to the, the hero school, the school for teaching newcomers to use their quirk and become stronger in future heroes. So, that's something I want to take from that. I feel like this gas mask boy most likely will be important later on in the future. Maybe not in the next 20 chapters, maybe another 100 chapters down the road. I feel like this character might become someone important that will help out our main cast of characters in the future. Now, moving off that point, let's talk about the second half. The second half of the chapter, we get to see it to where Tokoyami, he's going on a rampage. Now, the last chapter set this up. We already knew for a while now that Tokoyami, he gets stronger at dark, and his ability, his dark shadow, gets uncontrollable as, you know, the day goes on, and we see his power for the first time. Tokoyami's dark shadow at night. It is monstrous. It reminds me so much of some of the monster designs from Berserk. If you look at Tokoyami, and you look at some of the designs of the demons in Berserk manga, you will see some similarities. It looks really creepy. The way you just see, like, the shadow coming off of Tokoyami's face, and it looks like it's, like, pulling his skin and hurting him. It looks so creepy. It reminds me of Kentaro's writing from, you know, Berserk. And I was like, damn, this is what I've been wanting to see for a long time. Because as I've said for a while now, Tokoyami is one of those characters I pegged as probably being one of the greatest characters in the main cast. And probably one of the strongest. Alongside of that, he's always been one of my personal favorites of the cast. Because of his design, to his ability, and just the way, you know, he's constantly displayed himself as a character. He's always been one of those characters I've had on the radar, being like potentially one of the better characters of the series. And seeing Tokoyami demonstrating his ability and how his shadow is going on a rampage, and it just crushes this villain in the latest chapter. Holy shit. Like the what the fuck faces from Bakugo and Todoroki. When they just see this dark shadow mash just smash the villain down, and they're just looking, and they're like, the fuck? Like, that's the face they're giving. You just see Deku, he's coming in, he's like, hey, I'm gonna be greedy, I wanna save you both. That right there just put a smile on my face. Deku, you're such a greedy bastard when it comes to saving people, but you're also such a wonderful MC. The way you are able to think in that situation of how to save Tokoyami and Bakugo at the same time, it proves how smart you are and how good of an MC you are. So yes, definitely the latest chapter was on point as fuck. Now, besides that, it seems like Kota, to talk about some certain points from recent chapters, Kota's probably going to be the main one to put out, like, a fire or any type of issues with the forest because of his quirk ability. So I'm looking forward to seeing how Kota's going to change after this arc and how much he's going to appreciate heroes once all is said and done. So that's about it when it comes to the latest chapters or the latest chapter of Boku no Hero Academia. You all have a wonderful day or night wherever you live. Please be safe. Chibi out.